had no surgery, so I can't take off these lips. I can't remove my fake bum plants. Like, I can't change. I'm not gonna stop going to gym so that I grow my thighs.
I feel like I've spoken about blackfishing before, but I honestly can't remember when, and for some reason it is back in the news, although not from this article from the 5th of December. I'll tell you why it was in the news this week in a minute. Let's first discover what blackfishing is. And as we saw at the beginning of this little BBC clip to explain it, is about getting financial and social benefits. That's weird, isn't it? What kind of social benefits could be gained by being black? If white privilege was a thing, surely it would be the other way around. Surely it would be like it is in Asia, where they buy skin whitening cream by the bucket load, apparently, in order to make their skin lighter instead of darker. Why in the West is it that trying to make your skin darker comes with social benefits, which apparently can be interpreted as pretending to be black? Just the very framing of any of this conversation I just find inherently objectionable. It's someone who accused of pretending to be black or mixed race on social media, which apparently this woman does on her Instagram feed, according to other people, because this was news to her. She had no idea that's what she was supposed to be doing. But she says that she's not naturally pale, but she does admit to making it darker, as in she tans. Uses presumably tanning sprays, tanning beds, to make herself look, what I suppose in her opinion is more exotic. This is just the greatest line in the world. With things like tanning, I don't think I've done anything in a malicious way. What does maliciously tanning look like, black community? Please explain to me how a white person can maliciously tan themselves in order to steal social benefits that black people would otherwise have reaped. And if you think this isn't about intersectional ideology, you're wrong. She says she's not suggesting white privilege is not a thing, but wants to tell her critics the assumptions you're making are wrong. The assumption is that she is effectively trying to change her race to get out of her white privilege. And it's weird that they are so protective about this. It's not that they want the white person to have white privilege, it's they don't want the white person to escape their white privilege. Because I mean, at the end of the day, let's say that this girl I'm sure I've spoken about this girl before. Let's say that this Swedish girl who dresses up like this on Instagram does this every day and goes out. Doesn't she lose her white privilege by virtue of the fact that no one knows that she's white? I mean, white privilege is dependent on our perception of one another for us to decide how to treat one another. And the assumption being that white people treat each other better than they treat non-white people, and that's a form of privilege. So if that's the case, then actually becoming transracial in this way would actually mean that you don't present as a white person, and therefore you must necessarily lose your white privilege. Why wouldn't you encourage every white person to do this if you wanted to get rid of white privilege? Would it not be better to have white people not gaining white privilege instead of forcing white privilege upon them, which is what's happening at the moment? Because really, it's not that it's white privilege, is it? It's really that it's a convenient sort of prison to trap them in when you want to rhetorically beat them for being white. And I just want to stress, I'd be against this no matter what race it was happening to. Like, I don't care what race this would apply to. The fact that they're trying to do this to people of a certain race and claim that they have unearned privileges because of the way that they were born, I think that's probably a bad thing. And if you think that the babbling nonsense that came out of my mouth when I was explaining what intersectionality actually interpreted this to be, let's just get it from the source. Blackfishing has been talked about a lot ever since writer Wanna Thompson's Twitter thread, this is important, which highlighted women accused of blackfishing went viral last month. Twitter is destroying the journalistic class, just so you know. Some people have been questioning why it's an issue. Dara Thurman, blah, blah, blah. Just being ourselves, black people just being ourselves, has always been frowned upon. Okay, but it's not being frowned upon now. I mean, it's being openly celebrated, is it not? She says her frustration comes when white women who appear to be posing as black don't know the struggle that black women go through to be accepted as who they are. How does that follow? Some rando woman on Twitter or on Instagram is like darkening her skin with tanning lotion and posing in weird ways. And let's imagine she was even trying to look black, right? How does that change anything about your life? Like, what does that do to you? You're going away, the struggle was real, and then you pull up Instagram and you see this woman blackfishing. You're like, I can't believe I'm seeing someone blackfishing. Now, this is the struggle is 10 times worse because she doesn't understand it. I mean, is it that there is, like, is this you earning a place in the world? Is that how you view this? Like, the struggle that the black women go through, and we don't want you to have any kind of, we don't want people mistaking you for being black. So as if the struggle that we've gone through is us earning a privileged position for black women through victimhood. Is that what this is? Is that how you guys essentially see it? This is our special victim status, and we won't let you get in on it. Because you sound a lot like the TERFs for race. Just saying. Even now in certain workspaces, black women can't wear their natural hair out. They have to wear weave. Bollocks. If they press their hair so it's straight, because to wear an afro or to wear braids or wear locks is seen as unclean or untidy, it's not professional. Bollocks. I don't believe it. She says that women accused of blackfishing are being unfair to black women who are trying to make it as influencers and get product endorsements on their own. You take that away from them. Right. So they are out competing you. So this is that you feel this is a little thing that you've earned and you have to stay out of our little club because this is a niche. This is a market. We're trying to make a bit of dough here. This is our day job, being black women on the internet. That's what you're saying. If they are somehow edging you out of the market, I'm just saying. The only reason I'm talking about this again is because apparently there is a famous pop star called Ariana Grande, and apparently she's a blackfish, and they have receipts. I mean, where would we be without the receipts to prove that she is a blackfish? She's making a profit out of racial ambiguity, and that's someone else's job. That's not her job. She's white, presumably. Ariana Grande is a talented singer who's been through a lot. Not only was she caught in a terrorist attack at her own concert, she also had to deal with the tragic death of her ex-boyfriend. She cares about world issues, she cares about her fans, and she actually seems to be a really nice human. At that point, you stop. End of article. You go, you know what? This is a good person. I don't want to take a nice big steaming public shit on her on what I consider to be a moral issue in which she's failing, because she's actually a really nice person. So even if she's doing something wrong, it's obviously not by intent. She obviously doesn't know that she's doing something wrong. But you're about to accuse her of effectively stealing money from black women and avoiding the consequence, the responsibility she has for her own white privilege. These are quite expansive and condemning claims if you're a progressive moralist. All I'm saying is this author isn't pleased that she has to send Ariana Grande to the metaphorical firing squad, but she's going to do it anyway. Which is why it makes it even more difficult to say this. Ariana Grande is a blackfish, and her current identity is built on that. Blackfishing is commonly perpetrated by white women to appear of African or Arab ancestry. Arabs now, not even Latin America now. Some people even consider it the modern equivalent of blackface or brownface. What's brownface? When did people ever dress up, paint their faces like Arabs? What are you talking about? It's blackface. But anyway, it capitalizes off the exotic looks of historically oppressed minorities. When were the Arabs historically oppressed? What are you talking about? By the Ottomans? I mean, do they not count? Are they not Middle Eastern enough? Are they not brown enough? The Turks need to get out in the sun a bit more so they can get on that oppression bandwagon. What are you talking about? Historically oppressed minorities. Ariana has been looking darker and darker into her music videos, to the point where people are genuinely confused when they find out she's actually white. Most fans think she's mixed race. Who gives a shit? I guess she's cursed to have been actually white. I mean, she looks quite pale in that picture, and then in the one next to her, that's right. I wouldn't know she wasn't a Latino, and with a name like Grande, I don't know that I'd know it was a stage name. It seems like it could be a real name. Yeah, she's pretending to be a Latina. Get her on the fucking pyre. And now her fans have been pointing out that she's looking more and more bronzed in her music videos. Well, these are good receipts. I'm glad she's brought these. She's darker than another pop star who's actually black, apparently. What more is there? We don't need any more evidence, surely. This is three solid pieces of evidence that prove Ariana Grande is a blackfish. I don't even know what the thing that we do in response to that information is. When she's on the cover of Vogue, she's pale, blonde, and has freckles. I guess when you're a white woman, you can pick and choose your features as you wish. Yes, this is something that just women do, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's a woman thing, isn't it? Here is a list of white women who have been culturally miscegenating with other cultures towards, I guess, in the Eastern Africa. How dare they? This is basically colonial. None of these people have done anything wrong by celebrating another culture. You guys are lunatics, and you are actually at the point where you're like, you are actually ethno-nationalists at this point. What these people are saying is, look, no, each ethnicity needs to stick to their own thing, and we have some really sharply predefined boundaries for your ethnicity and your race. So let's tell you about what white people can do.